David DT. This is our Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. So if you guys like our show, make sure that you like and subscribe. We're going to start giving our subscribers rewards in the very near future. And this morning we're going to be interviewing Amy Hegi, my beloved sister.
Interview number 2.
Thank you for being a guest on our show. Everyone, this is my beautiful sister, Amy Hegi, who has the talented, beautiful Amy Hegi. Thank you for coming on.
I feel like the most boring guest ever.
You're not. You're incredible. That's why we're honored to have you here. You have you have a very compassionate heart, and you have a legacy of philanthropy that doesn't surprise me at all, because growing up with you, I benefited and still benefit from your compassion and action. One story that comes to mind is I was singing Houston Oilers, and I did a split or something, and I kicked one of my mom's decorative plates.
Could you demonstrate that for us?
Later. And I kicked one of my mother's decorative plates off the wall, and Amy threw a donut and caught it for me, and I went after the donut and ate it. I picked up the donut, ate it. She saved the day, and I'm eating her treat. That's sort of us in a nutshell. And
that's just a sister thing.
I know that is a sister thing, but that's a microcosm of sort of our personalities. You're like always giving and giving, and I'm kind of thinking about myself, but I'm working on it.
You're the entertaining one.
Exactly.
Sure.
I'm the goofball.
She is definitely entertaining.
Goody two-shoes nerd in the background.
I love it though, but you are a saint in so many ways, Amy.
I'm not a saint. I am not a saint.
Well, you're humble for sure, very humble. But you have a legacy of philanthropy. You don't talk about it at all. But what happened that made you want to give back like you do? Did anything happen growing up, or talk to me about?
I think you were there, mom and dad, all the time. Mom and dad were doing stuff for us or for others in front of us, just to show you got to give back. We're so blessed. We're given so much in this world, and it's our duty to give back. And just little things I don't know if you remember Greg Pishak, the guy that was an immigrant from Poland, and he came here. I don't even know how dad encountered Greg, but asked a couple of safety questions, but just was like, you can't afford anything. Move into my back house. I'm going to help you get a job. And Greg made it and got his citizenship. And we were just watching dad live that out as kids. Exactly. I remember a time we were driving down the street, and there was a woman with a flat tire, and mom was begging him, not because she didn't have compassion, not to stop, but for all of our safety. And dad was like, no, I'm stopping and helping this woman change her tire.
Right. And
I think they just, lived by example and taught us that when you see a need, you got to roll up your sleeves and help out.
That's so true. We did experience that, watching mom and dad.
And even when we moved to Dallas, I remember, we moved from Houston to Dallas, and all of our friends went to one church, and we wanted to go to that church, and mom and dad were like, no, we're going to go to a church downtown. We need for you to see that there are a lot of people in this world that don't have the things that we have. And it's our duty to reach out and help give them a hand up.
That's so true. I remember being young, and mom and dad, was it Genesis? What was it when we were helping with Christmas?
It was interfaith. That was my big pivotal moment. It was interfaith at Christmas time. That I think it was a week before Christmas, and they were like, we're going to go down to this place and help this family. And you and I were like, what? All right. And we went down there, and we brought a Christmas tree and Christmas gift. This family with 3 children under 6 would not have had Christmas morning if mom and dad hadn't taken us down there.
That's true. And they taught us every year to do angel tree and just to always be giving back.
Just to think outside of ourselves.
Yes.
That was the biggest gifts they've ever given us.
Yes. Tell us about, as an adult being involved in philanthropy, some really neat stories, or what are things that Dallas has done to change the lives of people that people don't know about?
Well, I do think I will say Dallas is, and this isn't my opinion, it's you can back it with numbers, one of the most, if not the most generous city in the world. We're so blessed to live in a city of people that want to give back and do for others. I work with an organization that hears a lot of pitches from a lot of different charities. And one of the ones that stuck with me the most, it was probably 15 years ago. And I was like, I can never stop. I've got to help. I can never stop helping. We were listening to a pitch from the North Texas Food Bank, and they were just talking to my group about this project they were doing. It was backpacks for the weekend. And they were collecting backpacks to fill with food because so many Dallas County children eat breakfast and lunch at school, and those are the only meals they get. We live in a very food insecure city. There are a lot of hungry kids in the city. And they were wanting us to give them funding so they could launch this program to send these babies home with backpacks full of food, which not the kind of food we feed our kids on the weekends, snacks and processed food, but it's better than nothing. So they wouldn't go hungry Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday until they came back to school for breakfast on Monday morning. And the example the person from North Texas Food Bank gave us was there was this little 6-year-old boy that sat in the back of the class and ate the erasers off of his pencil. And the teacher was like, what is going on? And he said, well, if I eat the erasers, my stomach doesn't growl in school. So I'm just going to eat my erasers because I don't have food. I come to school so hungry. And I was like,
wow,
that was like unfathomable to me. Like that would never cross our minds.
No.
That's what these babies are out there doing. And we have the ability to collect backpacks and collect food and send them home so they're not hungry. That's just a tiny example.
But that sort of lit your fire to keep going because you do put so much of your time into giving back and no recognition. And
no, it's just what it's too easy not to. It's our duty.
I agree.
What God calls us to do. So
I agree.
It's more rewarding for us than for them. That's for sure.
That's so true.
So that's one story. When I told my kids that story, then I couldn't even get through the story. And they were like, okay, how do we help? What do we do?
Yes.
No. There's so many different ways to participate when you're within an organization. So some people do like an event planning, some people do the fundraising, and some people are in the organizations kind of on the ground, hands-on. And I mean, do you have like a preference with any of that? Like where's kind of your heart song within all that?
No, I know you're so right. And all of it is critical. Like there's no small player when it comes to making a philanthropy work. We need every facet and every worker to make them work. I love all of the facets and I think they're equally important.
Yeah.
I think I don't mind the fundraising, and a lot of people do. So I, sometimes tend to volunteer to do that because I enjoy it. I love event planning. So that part's a lot of fun. And I think the hardest part is event planning, just my opinion. And that's really hard work. So kudos to all the event planners out there because that is some hard work, lots of detail.
Well, some people love that. I headed up a number of charities. I was the chairman of the board of the Dallas Heart Ball for several years.
Amazing.
And head of fundraising and we funded a lot of chairs at UT Southwestern. They're still there, which is amazing. Like sometimes I actually needed some help from the heart doctor a few years ago, and I've raised, a lot of money for that.
Totally.
But
it's awesome.
It makes you feel good when all these years later, they're still there and they're still working.
So look at your legacy, Bill. That's really cool. Like you've left a legacy by doing that work.
Well, in the fundraising, I always kind of did, but I found it was hardest. I thought it was interesting what you said. I found it was always hardest to find the fundraisers. They were worth their weight in gold, kind of literally and metaphorically, I guess also. But, there were so many people that wanted to do the party and, wanted to do the PR and that sort of thing. But the honest to God fundraisers, I always thought from the group I was in was few and far between. And in all honesty, our group, we always said you get a double investment with us. You get a help fund a chair in heart research and also help train and educate the next generation of leaders in Dallas who are going to carry the torch for some of you heavyweights, like in Crystal Charity. I mean, I always looked up a lot to Crystal Charity because that's, to me, the mother of all charities in terms of fundraising and raising money. If you want to get something done, put the women in charge, and I think that's my own point of view. I'm just my own editorial comment. And, but it's really true. And I took a lot of inspiration.
Sororities, junior leagues.
Yeah. Well, I'm just talking about.
There's some facts to that.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true. And that's be an interesting thing to hear y'all talk about some. But, I took a lot of lessons from, when I had that responsibility from the women who had done that. Like Ruth Altshuler was
I loved Ruth Altshuler.
She was one of my original.
Talk about a legacy.
Talk about a legacy. Talk about a legend. Ron Haddock was somebody we worked with at head of FINA, and he had heart issues. And I learned, but I knew to lean on a lot of the women who had been in those positions because they really knew how to do it. And, they schooled me big time. And we thankfully, thanks to everybody's help, we had a lot of success.
That's
but just my little 2 cents in there.
Well, yeah, and look what UT Southwestern's doing now in heart research. I mean, it's a world class.
Well, you know what came out of that. Like, I'm a guy who likes sports and all that sort of thing. We have the pride of the Cowboys, and of the Mavericks are kind of shameful right now. We'll get into that, but don't get me started on that one. But there's a lot of civic pride in terms of what goes on, and I see them laughing at me over there, going on. But honestly, and I mean this from my heart, like by the time I had raised money for heart research at UT Southwestern, my heroes were no longer sports people. They were the people that, worked. Like Dr. Kern Wildenthal was somebody I really looked up to. Man. Cindy Basil, who worked with him. Those people are my heroes, and that's what makes me proud to be from Dallas. Now that I'm a little wiser, and
they're making a real difference.
Yeah, they really are, and I learned a lot from them. But enough about me. Yeah. Ladies?
Well, I just think it's so impressive because over my lifetime, I'm 48 now, and I've seen cancer come so far. 25 years ago, we were killing people with the chemo, and now because of fundraisers like Cattle Barons that raises money for cancer research, that's just one of many. But we have gone, I see people, and cancer's not a death sentence anymore. They'll give you a pill. There's like spot treatment. It's really neat to see. Like, this isn't just about throwing apart. The money really is making a difference and evolving, and we're leaving the world a better place for our kids. Right. Bill, you yourself benefited from like the where medicine has come with heart issues.
Absolutely.
Right? You want to share that? No?
Well, yeah, I don't mind talking about it a little bit, but I think the fact I'd done the research, I had of what I thought was a stomach issue one night, and then I remembered the stories and the testimonials I'd heard about people that thought it was something else, and it turned out it was a heart attack, and I had a very mild heart attack. And I thought it was a stomach issue. I couldn't believe it was actually a heart issue. But had I not done all that research, I probably would have ignored it and not gone in, and would have had a much worse issue, later. So yeah, it definitely paid some unexpected dividends for me. And, fortunately I didn't have any damage to my heart, and I'm still, roaring and going. And, I'm thankful for all the research that came before that, because it's made a huge difference in, the guy that's sitting here right now. So, yeah.
I think most of my volunteering, besides attending different galas, is probably more in the trenches. So for the Catholic Church, they say, can you give money? If not, can you give gifts? Yep. If not, can you give time? If not, can you give prayer? So no matter who you are, you have something to give. And then there's so many different flows of life to where I'm raising babies. I don't have this much time. So I want to give money. Okay, my babies are older. I can volunteer. Mm-hmm. Okay, I miss my babies. I want to volunteer with kids and make their life better. Or, that's been in the pantry, so I need to clean out the pantry anyway, so I should go to a food bank, or I should donate. So I feel like it doesn't have to be grandiose to give. Yeah. And
I'm so glad you said that. I agree. There's no gift too small, and if prayer is what you can give prayer. That's so valuable.
So
it's a great point, Jenny.
So what can our listeners do? They can go on to northtexasfoodbank.com, make a donation. They could show
anything that pulls at your heartstrings. For you, Jen, I would say SPCA.
Yes.
The SPCA, they're always collecting towels and blankets, and you can go help care for the animal. There are so many needy organizations in Dallas. They're literally Google them. Tomorrow's Giving Tuesday, which is a
perfect timing.
Perfect timing. I didn't know if y'all planned this because you knew it was
We did. No, we didn't. Amy, you've always said I'm the luckiest person you know. Like,
you really are.
we had no idea. Okay, but I could slip on a greasy banana peel and land on a lottery ticket. It is, it's true. We did not know it, but thanks, Lord.
Yeah, it is Giving Tuesday. It's a worldwide giving day where they just ask people to stop what they're doing, count their blessings, and give back in some way. And like you just said, it could be prayer, it could be a donation, it could be you roll up your sleeves and go to, North Texas Food Bank or Interfaith or the Stew Pod. Or, the Stew Pod's another one. They serve 3 meals a day, 365 days a year.
Yep.
They need any help they can get. They're just an amazing organization.
Yes.
There are so many great organizations in Dallas. So
we do take care, like the city takes care of its people. And I think the fiber of our being as a community, we know that we're not here just to take up space and show off. We're here to take care of each other. People. Yes.
Right. And it's the season of, we wanted to do this because we're doing like kind of the spirit of giving that starts with Thanksgiving and giving thanks and then giving to those that we love, and community and that sort of thing. And then like the concept of our podcast is, it starts with Dallas, but then, in the places, and then also those people within the places. And so, we want to be kind of all encompassing in our efforts to be like, okay, well, there's people in need. There's people that flourish, and we're all part of a bigger community that can serve one another in different ways.
It's so true.
Yeah. So we do love that. And, gala season probably starts more in October. We didn't start talking about it till November. And I always think galas are so fun because you're giving, but you're also getting, because you get to get dressed up. You get a date night, you get a meal, or, you get all the fun stuff, but then you're also contributing, giving back at the same time. So I always think of galas as like win-wins. The other ones like feel good, like you leave a shelter. I volunteered with just children whose moms didn't have a person in their life to watch them at night, but they had to work. So they could bring them, or if they thought that they were going to harm the children, they just weren't in a good place mentally, they could bring them to this place, and then you just go and watch babies, which of course I love because I love babies. Yes. And then I've done like a dress for success, where people show up, and then there's like a big wardrobe of donated clothes, and then they need like outfits
for work.
So
that's such a good cause.
I know. So anything to help women and babies have been pretty much my focus.
Yes, and I love working with Nexus Women's Shelter. It's women struggling with addiction, and it's one of the few women's organizations that take pregnant women and help with the children, and it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful. And Genesis Women's Shelter. We started working with Genesis Women's Shelter when you and I were little. I remember that.
My family's been a big part of that as well.
Yes.
One thing I find interesting about the structure, and I don't know that much about Crystal Charity, but it pertains to a question that I have, is that, I think they choose different projects in different years to, so there's sort of a review and that sort of thing. My question is, are there, you're very involved in just charity in general. Are there certain things like that are growing in need, like a need that's not being addressed right now, or is everything pretty covered? Or
if you had asked me that 3 years ago, I would have said yes, that our mental health.
Bingo. I was thinking that. Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, Dallas has stepped up in the last 3 years.
Good.
We are good. And there's always need. Like, it's not like, no, we don't need that anymore. We always need that. But we're catching up with the times, and we're taking care of that mental health void that we had for a while. It was just not, we're thinking about our parents' generation and us. They didn't even talk. They talk about getting therapy. And now it's like, well, who doesn't know? Everyone needs a therapist, and we got to talk about these things because they're real. And I think that's helped bring us along. And now we are, all these organizations are now funding mental health projects, which we have to. These kids and adults are in need, and not everyone can afford it. It's very expensive. And so I would say, if you'd asked me as recently as 3 years ago, I would have said yes, mental health. But I'm sure there are areas where we need to do better.
Well, one charity, maybe
there's just always ways, like there's maybe like mismanagement of funds, or there's maybe like people that don't realize they need help or don't want to ask for help. So like you can't serve everybody. Like that's impossible, but just having them exist.
Yeah, but sometimes, I think of the AIDS epidemic, it's just one. One example of something that didn't exist that all of a sudden, kind of like COVID, became something that was a huge crisis. I mean, you never know, not to be doom and gloom, but you never know the next challenge that's around the corner.
Right.
You don't. And sometimes there's sleeper issues like the mental health. I started to say before Jenny said something that there was a ball, and I'm hoping you can help me remember the name of it. But there was a ball that I didn't know. It was like the red something ball, but it has to do with helping people dealing emotionally with cancer. So it's not actually the fight against cancer, but it's the coping with cancer, which is a huge part.
The family members that are coping.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and probably I would guess the patients to some degree too, but it's more the psychological issues. I mean, the physical issues are devastating and difficult to deal with, but there's a whole other group of issues that are equally important to deal with, and even for recovery purposes. Do you remember either of y'all remember?
The red ball.
The red ball. Okay.
Yep. It's really neat. Yeah. That just sprung up, which goes, and yes, Amy's right. We're coming up, and taking care of everybody's mental health, which is great.
Yeah, and sometimes charities fade away. I mean, like they have a lifespan, and then either the leadership goes away or the need's not as strong. So it's an ever evolving thing that you have to monitor.
And it's kind of backwards, because for a for-profit, you want to succeed, but for a nonprofit, success is the need goes away. So it's kind of like a reverse thing where like for the organization to keep existing. And you did talk about that with AIDS, like maybe, the AIDS research, like people are living now. Like, so for AIDS research, maybe they pivot into something else, like, because
maybe at some
there's
point
always going to be a different need maybe that they can look into and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, and that's one thing I like about Crystal Charity, from what little I know about it, is that, they review things year in, year out. That I've read on their website. That's a big part of the process. And that's pretty fantastic. It's like a self-sustaining thing that is so important, because you're looking at what new issues you're kind of really talented people that evaluate that are looking at that every year.
Is it the same number of organizations, or okay,
it's not. And just to your point, Bill, we partner with Deloitte. We're so blessed by Deloitte. They review all of the finances of all of the applications, which really help all of us, because we, some of us do have a financial background, some of us don't. I do not. So they're super thorough in looking through all of that. But it's an extensive vetting process and the applications are open to anyone that wants to apply. And as long, we go through, and if your financials are sound and strong and your ask is solid, then you move on to, get to tell us about the project that you are requesting funds for. And it's a very extensive process. It takes about, August to February that
Yeah. And I think part of from my outside observations, I'm just kind of looking at this right now. I mean, what a great system that is, and what a great way to deal with those type issues and keep evolving and keep meeting needs. I just love the way that the whole thing's structured, what I've heard about it.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's an amazing group. I'm very blessed to be a part of it.
I believe they're blessed to have you. I'll never forget.
I
was dressed up like a pink lady. I had been hired by my modeling agency to wear all pink, and I had a wig on, and someone we both know, I don't know if she wants me to mention her name on here, but she's like, I've been trying to get your sister to work with us for a really long time, and she have her call me back. And I was like, okay. And there you are, taking over and changing lives. So we love you, Amy. And
we know you're a rock star.
Yeah, we all know you're like the it girl. You're the it girl. You are. So with wrapping it up, we so appreciate you.
Before you wrap it up, okay. I got a question. A doozy? I've been sitting on this one all interview. What was it like to grow up in a household with the redheaded firecracker we have across from us?
Rojo Loco.
It was never boring.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It was
It's kind of like now.
entertaining. She's truly is. I know, Bill, you've seen the side of her. Jenny, I'm sure you have too. She really is one of the funnious humans.
I love you.
Well, I call her
I'll send
Dallas's.
you the payment in the mail.
I call her Dallas's Lucille Ball.
It is so true. My kids always get we were just together for Thanksgiving, and my kids are like, she's so funny and has no idea she's as funny as she is. Like, she doesn't be funny.
I love you.
Yeah, we did that. We did that comedy, which is a whole nother story. But every time she says, "Oh, I was no good and you were good, Bill," I'm like, "What are you talking about? You were great."
I remember crickets for me and everybody.
Not
I was like,
true.
"Well, gotta
Not
go."
true. Not true. That's just in your mind.
So, and she has a heart of gold. That's the one thing.
That's true. I do have a big heart. It gets me in trouble sometimes. But that's what you do too.
If your ears were burning last night, I was talking about you a little bit with Jennifer. We got together, and I don't know how we got into this, but somehow we were starting to talk about our backgrounds from Europe and that sort of thing. And one thing she brought up was that I know your dad's a big
Francophile, and he's got ancestors from the south of France,
which I found interesting. And they were connected to the Huguenots, who were very religious and persecuted. And so I even said to I say, well, I think that DNA is still in your family and working when I look at what you two girls do and what your parents are all about. And, it's one thing I feel like just a lackey when I'm around Jennifer a lot of times, how compassionate her heart is. I'm like just a dummy, by comparison,
Not true.
But she makes me aware of things that I otherwise wouldn't think of, as do you and your parents.
Oh, you're the sweetest. Well, we're blessed to be friends with you. We're just so lucky. We're so blessed.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, we have this wonderful. Any other questions, Jenny? The final round. Anything?
I was just gonna say, there's so many different ways people can spend their time. So you choosing to spend your time in this charitable way speaks to
and
your
coming
character.
on this show.
Even through your humility, I'm just saying, it's there. So
thank you so much.
I'm sure Dallas thanks you. The organizations thank you that y'all give back to. And
so sweet.
Yeah,
it's
very
just
nice.
I'm a tiny little piece of sand in the big picture.
You're amazing. I love you so much. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Thank you, Amy Hegi.
Yay, Amy.
Thank you.
Appreciate your being on. Thank you very much.
Great. We love you.
Thank you.
All right.
Have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye, y'all too.
I'll call you later.
Okay.
Love you.
Love you.
Good job. She did great.
Well, of course
Great.
so you both did.
Thank
of course you did.
Thank you. What's our next topic? Are we taking off the earphones?
It's the I am.
Yes.
I don't prefer them, but
And
she did
I've
great.
learned to check my hair because it really kind of ruins it.
No, it looks good.
and no,
Okay.
it did. Well, it does now.
No, it looks great.
It does now.
It does now.
Bill,
It
what
does
did
look
you-
a little wild.
What did you want to talk about? I think you did some research on Yall Street, which is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. And, we were talking about the season.
What's new in real estate, Bill?
Well, well, first of all, that's a kind of separate question. Just very quickly, we predicted, or I guess I predicted, that the market would pick up some at the end of the year like it usually does. And although it's not as strong as some years, it has picked up. And like I've seen it within our company and within my own business, quite a bit more activity. Thank God I got a deal done last night that's going to close before Christmas. Yay. And got another one in the works. But there is, the interest rates are hurting us. They're starting to call it the handcuffs to a lot of people because they're in these lower interest rates, and to, sell their house and get out of it, they have to go into higher interest rates. So that continues to be a challenge for the market that'll go into next year, and we'll see how it plays out. But one thing that's going on, and is sort of like the good news, are all this Yall Street. Dallas is a big financial center now, and do you know we are going to have, I guess y'all do know, but does everybody know we're going to have a Texas stock exchange? And guess where it is based? In Dallas, Texas.
Yeehaw!
It's going to be, I dug into it a little bit. It's going to be in the Weir's building where the old Weir's was at Knox and McKinney.
Yep.
It's going to be in that building, but they will build a headquarters somewhere, and they'll also have a lot of support, like data centers and that sort of thing, which will create, a lot of jobs as well. So, that's jobs. And everything we look at, like they're trying to create campuses for people to learn the financial markets, the high-tech markets, to create jobs for Dallas to grow. Dallas is a city that always has had vision. And I have a question for y'all, but this is just a weird way my mind works. Why did Dallas ever exist to begin with? I mean, just your thoughts on it.
I'm dying to know. I think probably the gold rush.
There's not really a wrong
I think
answer.
settlers came here.
No gold rush. No gold here.
I think oil.
Just a bunch of black dirt.
Oil.
Oil's not really here. It's fairly close by, but we just found a lot of it recently. So
I want to know, Bill, will you enlighten us?
So,
Jenny's turn.
I have a theory, probably.
I'm sure you do.
So, Gulf of Mexico, Port City, Mississippi River, ports.
See, she's
and
so
then
smart.
there's the I-35, but before Roosevelt, there wasn't really an I-35. But Dallas is a hub city that goes from Mexico to Canada through I-35.
Yeah.
And you can reach other hub cities quickly through flights. So the popularity of Dallas comes from...
Well, we didn't have airplanes in the 1800s, though.
I know, but why it's still like,
well, why
a
it still
big
is,
city.
but why was it to begin with? And you're right on everything you're saying.
Drum roll.
Well, I think Jenny may have a theory on this. So the river is right. The river is part of it.
Yeah.
And you know what a ford in a river is? You know what that means? It's a crossing point. And the Trinity had a ford here. That's a low point that you can cross. So that put it on the map. But who did that put it on the maps with originally? The Native
Mexico.
Americans.
Yeah.
Oh, the Native Americans.
The Aztecs.
The history goes back that far, which is interesting. And I know the good people at Preservation Dallas pointed this out to me. You know, they're all about the history of Dallas. Dallas, of course, it had the ford in the river, which put us on the map. You could cross the Trinity here. And also we're at a converging point for a lot of different type land formations. Like think about Texas as a state. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was a country originally, right? East Texas, what do we have? Pine trees. It doesn't look anything like around Dallas, but it's not that far away. In Dallas, we had the prairie, right? And the black dirt, but why does the dirt changes to sandy loam when you go east? And then you think of, Midlands like a desert, and it's
the dirt goes red when you head to Oklahoma.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And those are different land formations.
And then it goes rocky.
Now, what would that mean for Dallas? This is interesting to think. I think it's I like history.
I do too.
Why would the Native Americans want to trade in Dallas? Well, back in the agrarian days and the days they made things by hand, they brought in from all these different places they could grow different crops and had different, type potteries and products they could make. Goes back no telling how long. There are a lot of Indian tribes here, before the white man ever got here. And they had the ford and the Trinity. It was a trading post. It was a trading post for no telling how long. And I always wondered about that because, like, I would see John Neely, like Dallas floods. Why would they put a city here? It floods, and that was a huge problem for the founding fathers. But it goes back even further than that. And why am I even mentioning this? Well, we have a stock exchange that is coming here.
Because they're still exchanging goods.
Still exchanging.
Love that, Bill.
We're still exchanging. It's it's a natural evolution. This is the Bill theory of economics.
I love the Bill theory on
everything.
everything.
A book soon, right? But I think there is something to all
trading
this.
Physical goods to trading stocks.
Bingo. I love the way you can put things. Yeah, exactly
it's
right.
It's a full circle moment.
And anything y'all could have said would have been the right answer, really, when you think about Dallas. I mean, there's so many reasons now. But to start with, I always thought about that as a kid. I remember my mother was into history and preservation and all this sort of thing. I remember we went down to City Place, and I'm like, it's kind of like, why is this a big deal? I was a little bratty boy, right? My mother said, well, it's the history of Dallas. I said, well, who cares there was a cabin here, and that sort of thing. And then you look into the history of all the trouble with the flooding, and why did this city grow and other cities didn't?
Right.
Which is a whole interesting topic. I won't dive too deep in, but really now, like we've been known as a financial center in the last, the 1900s and now the 2000s. And all, in the last 20 years, really before our eyes, but, all these different, major financial corporations have put headquarters and campuses here. We hear the news, but you think of the cumulative effect. And so now they all have these headquarters here. And then the New York Stock Exchange, I didn't really know this, but they created a Texas branch of it, as did the NASDAQ. So you have that already headquartered here. Mm-hmm. And then the main stock exchange in New York, the New York Stock Exchange, they have a Texas version. Well, then why are we doing one, right? Why are we doing one? Well, number one,
because we're independently spirited.
Well, yes,
and capable
yes.
of doing it. So why wouldn't we?
We're
and
Texans.
If New York crumbles, we're their backup.
Yeah, I think that's all part of the psychology. Ask a native Texan and she'll tell you. Yeah. But that's all very, very true. And they also feel like they have a competitive advantage being based out of Texas. There's less regulation. They don't have to charge as much for they think they can compete, and outperform the New York Stock Exchange. I think is a lot. If you get on their site, they'll tell you as much, right?
Very cool.
And
there's this man, I saw him on Fox News, and he's the one who came up with the idea, and I forgot his name, but I will look into it.
Who came up with what I did?
The Texas Stock Exchange. He's a Texan.
Oh, good. And he was like, why don't we do a stock exchange?
Well, no, he kind of brought it too. Do you know his name?
Well,
I'm going to have to dig deep into it.
It might be James Lee. He's the CEO of the Texas Stock Exchange, and he has a long history in working in that. I got on their website, and I mean, this is no small thing that's going on already.
It's a big deal.
There's 70, 80 very qualified people. That their board of directors is like a who's who in Texas. Like Rick Perry's on it, former governor. A lot of people that you've heard of that have been famous in the the stock in equity trading and that sort of thing. BlackRock is a big participant in it. And another thing they can do other than being competitive, we can have. I'm going to use a term that I don't think they would use, but it kind of makes sense. Like indigenous stocks, like homegrown stocks. It's going to. They're going to try to create offerings that no other stock exchange has.
Is that different from penny stocks?
Yeah, I mean,
how so? Or is it just a different name for it?
Well, penny stocks are like we could start Big DT in a garage and start selling stock for it, like penny stock.
Sounds locally homegrown.
Let's do it, guys. Why not?
Well,
but what's the difference between?
You've seen the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yeah,
such a good movie.
And you remember how they basically
your guy Leo
were just making Leo did that whole thing where he was talking about this wonderful opportunity and blah 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 blah, and it only costs this much, and then he was getting like 75% of the commission on the whole purchase. It's just making money and lying basically.
Yeah. But
penny stocks, occasionally you can hit it rich, but it's just very high risk. There's no backing particularly. It doesn't get onto an exchange. That's a different thing, and there's a place for it. Some companies that are successful.
So how does the indigenous stock differ from that? Because I'm sure there's not very much funding.
I can't really speak for that, but my impression is it will have to be to a certain level before they want to put it on it's not like they're not just say any penny stock come on. It's going to have to be a blowing and going company. And I don't know if I can pull it up this fast, but there are already companies that have endorsed this and want to be on it. They've already got some, like Halliburton, I think is one of them. I can't remember and I don't know where the notes are right at the moment.
That's right.
But
we'll talk about it again.
And that's the other point I want to make. Like I originally just wanted to cover some of the real estate. There's all kinds of real estate projects going on. But then I started saying, whoa, this is all a common denominator because it has to do with the stock markets coming here. In Wall Street, we're becoming a bigger and bigger financial hub for the United States and I'm sure the world. So
it's a big deal. We are living in history being made, and it's pretty cool.
Well, and absolutely, and what makes
and I like how it's all encompassing of capital. Because there's financial capital, there's human capital, because they have to be educated to receive it,
Yes.
and then there's the physical capital of the built environment that's going to go up to expand around it.
And it's all benefiting our city and our economy. It's pretty cool. And we've always been a leader in certain areas. I mean, we've got the World Trade Center. We've been a leader in fashion. There was Kim Dawson before there were any other female agents. Kim Dawson was like the agency in fashion. And there was Stanley Marcus, who kind of put Dallas on the map as well with Fortnite, Neiman Marcus. And for a long time, there was rumors that downtown would be, closed. And then you two went to Zodiac and tell me what we found out. It's not happening, right? They're not closing downtown?
Right.
Oh,
Neiman's?
Yeah. What a segue. Yeah.
I know. It's so good.
Well, and talk about something else that put us on the map. If we're going to get into the Neiman's thing now, that's great. I mean, we had an amazing experience there, but Neiman's is very responsible for putting Dallas on the map to many people.
Yes,
like all the most famous designers came through those doors. You name them, they came through. Yves Saint Laurent. Y'all can name them probably better than I can, but they all knew where Neiman Marcus was and had been there, and were doing business with Stanley Marcus, who was an amazing human being. And Jenny, you want to tell them if we're going to go ahead and get into that right now, or do you want to wait till later? Because we did have a visit there.
Yes, we
did. And we went to the Jenny had the idea to go to the Zodiac Room, and I immediately registered with that because my mom used to take me there back in the early 1960s, before I was born. No, not really. But anyway, when I was a young boy, I remember it very well because, they had, you would go there as a very sophisticated dining room, which is pretty much exactly the same now. And they had fashion shows. Now, they didn't have that when we went there, but I think it was every day they had a fashion show. And I do remember the ladies, walking around, and they'd show off the dresses, and they'd come around while you were eating. They'd come around and talk to my mother, and they were dressed in, all the fancy new clothes of the day. And, it was quite an experience. And you can still experience all that in the old store. And what got us down there, too, was they were going to close the old store. And I don't want to.
I don't do it, Bill. Do it. They're not doing it anymore. They're not closing.
Yeah. Do y'all want to tell about that?
That's why I wanted to make the reservation, because I was like, I'm going to go and experience it for the first time before it's closed, and then you can't go experience it just because it is iconic Dallas at Neiman Marcus. As far as the the elevated shopping experience goes, we had a nice time. Bill had the best pot roast of his life.
It was absolutely delicious. And I will mention one thing. Talk about memories that came back to me. Helen Corbett, does that name mean anything? It may not to y'all, but she was the big cook, and she had restaurants, and she had cookbooks, and my mother had all her cookbooks in the house. And I didn't realize a lot of that emanated from Neiman Marcus. She set up the Zodiac Room, and she was the food and the recipes. And as I ate that, just what the sensations we have, right? I could taste the type cooking she did back then. It was not low fat or anything like that. It was very rich, and you could taste all that. I could. It was amazing how food reminds one.
The two people beside us also ordered the pot roast.
Yep.
And so Bill chatted them up about how tender it was. And then they all had their lifelong experiences, because Bill went there a lot growing up. It was my first time. And then the gentleman at the table next to us, he had been going there since he was a kid also. And they just had their favorites. And they served a popover. And some consomme.
Well, and popovers back in
when we first.
There's years between us, but one thing I remember, Dallas was so different in the '60s, and I remember a lot of that, even though I was very young. You'd go to these restaurants, and there would be these women that would go around with these big things of popovers, and I had kind of forgotten about them. They were absolutely delicious, right? And they don't really serve them anymore. And they had those. They
were so good, and they were so warm, and they mix the strawberry jam and the butter together, so it's this so whipped, good. And it just kind of melts baby. On. It was whipped butter with Anyway, I brought my appetite. So there's the consomme, which is kind of like a thicker broth, and then the popover to start, and then I had the chicken piccata, which is really good. He had the pot roast, and then we got two desserts, the creme brulee, and then the flourless chocolate. I like the creme brulee, but everything was great. Older crowd, some maybe multi-generations,
tradition.
But definitely older, mostly women. And the store was sleepy. There weren't too many people there. We chatted up with the salesperson, and he said they let go of people when they thought they were closing. They brought them back when they found out they weren't closing. So he had worked there before, took a hiatus, and started working there again. They're happy, not to close, obviously. And so there weren't too many shoppers, but the one spot that I thought was the best was the bridal boutique. So there was like a whole family, and she was picking out her dress, and Bill wanted to go and photograph her, and I was like, please don't take away this experience from her. Like, it's a special day to, and he's like, oh, she won't mind. She'll probably love that I want to take pictures. And I'm like, I'm going to walk over here and you go do that, and we'll see what she says.
Pictures?
And
They're
then
really good.
Well, to follow up, I think I embarrassed Jenny a little bit, but
I don't like approaching strangers when they're in their moments.
Well, and I'm a photographer. If I see something beautiful, I want to capture it. And so I did start talking to them. But the first thing I asked them, of course, was, would you mind if I took a picture?
Did they say sure?
They said, yes, we would mind.
To tell the story accurately, all the girls around it were like, oh, yes, isn't she beautiful, blah, blah, blah. But I kept looking at the bride, and, she was in her dress and just front and center. I wish I could have done a picture of it. It'll always live in my brain. And, but she was kind of not saying anything. And I said, well, I need to hear from
bad luck.
I need to hear from the main person here. And then she didn't want it to get reviewed. She wanted it to be a surprise.
Exactly.
It could be a luck thing.
Right. She was like, if it were on there, and then by whatever reason.
And then I just told her how absolutely beautiful she was, and she loved it. And we all went on and had a nice day.
But I was like, moving forward, I know the Zodiac Room is special for people who've been going there for years. And
we all thought it was going to be a gonzo, and now it's not. Yes.
But now that it's going to stay, then it's like that. I think for the, I think wedding dress shopping is so special. There's usually a group. There's probably, usually generations or at least cousins and and so like older and younger. And so what a fun place to like go to lunch, have an appointment, and then there's the shoes and then all the accessories. And then what I like about Neiman's in general, I work at Nordstrom, so I have to say I love Nordstrom's service, and they have lots of similar products, but Neiman's is very whimsical. And it does, when you're in there, there's not like, oh, I need that.
That's true.
It's like just like a store full of whimsical wants, which
it's wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Which is like how I live my life.
Yeah, it's true. Growing up,
just whimsical wants, not really those necessities.
Love it. Growing up, every Saturday after Thanksgiving, we would meet. My mom's side of the family would meet at the downtown Zodiac Room to. It was a tradition started by one of my uncles called the Princess Lunch, celebrating his firstborn daughter, who's so cute still. And we started. We'd been doing that for years and years. Now we haven't done that lately because everyone's grown up, but that was like a 25-year tradition in our family. So there's so many traditions built around. Mm-hmm, it is. It's really neat. It's we're Dallas strong, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. And shopping is so.
I work at a boutique in Snyder Plaza, and can't tell you how many people, especially since we've had the facelift, the new fountain that looks very Vegas but with taste, and just Snyder Plaza looks really good right now. It looks really very classy, really nice. It was a nice update. People drive in from all over. Like we're here from Bossier, Louisiana. We came here just to come to, Mini Me, Baby Bliss, and then go to the Gaylord. It's really neat to be. We take it for granted sometimes.
Right,
we are like, we're a destination.
Right.
Dallas is a destination.
I can walk to the Village and I can bike to Snyder Plaza.
I can bike to the Village and walk to Snyder Plaza. We're spoiled.
I know. Yeah. So. No, there's, the little 2-mile radius of existence are lots. Yeah. That is just everything that's Dallas and so awesome. True. And so we were talking holidays.
Yay!
It's the holidays. And last night we went to the tree lighting in Snyder Plaza. Speaking of Snyder Plaza.
That was so fun.
It was so fun.
Kudos to whoever does the
City of University
Park. Y'all killed it at the tree lighting. Yeah. We didn't know how it was going to go down because the new fountain, where's the tree? We don't like change, but y'all handled it with such class, did such a great job. Thank you.
And I love the fake ice for the ice skating.
Yes.
And when it was at the park the year before, there were tons of ice skaters. It was chilly last night, so I don't know if that's maybe why, but lots of diners at the restaurants. Bar Sardine was busy. Banditos was busy.
Speaking of Neiman's, ladies, I have a surprise for you.
Thank you, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
Jenny and I went and I took some pictures, and I have put together my first ever video.
Wow.
And y'all can see it on the screen. And let's take a look at it. It doesn't last very long, but I hope you'll enjoy it.
Thank you.
Here we go.
I love it.
Look familiar, Jenny?
Yes, it does.
Good pictures. Very crisp.
You should tear off wiggle your mouse. Wiggle your mouse.
The Zodiac Room.
Oh, I
Yes.
love it.
And there's
Holy
the
time
there's the
time.
dining room we were in.
Oh, wow.
There we are.
3 ends. Oh, you look so pretty, Jenny.
The stars.
Yes.
Oh, there's our desserts.
That's the big star right there. The dessert.
Yeah.
Sophia Loren.
Fortnights, the stars.
History everywhere.
Yeah, there it was.
It's like a museum and a store.
It is.
And these are the timelines of their history.
And his name's Stanley Marcus.
Yeah, he passed away.
Hey, like that jazzy music, baby.
Love it. Love it, Bill.
And that's their most recent
I
history.
know. I do jazz is good with people for low attention spans.
And then there's art
'Cause there's always
collections
something
everywhere.
to listen to.
The escalators were beautiful, weren't they?
Yes. The merch.
This is great.
I stayed up late doing this, ladies.
This is really good, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
Music gets a little funky here. The bridal suite.
Yeah, that'll be so fun. Even if we don't get dresses there, I'm taking all my daughters there when they're engaged.
It is beautiful.
Lunch and champagne and dresses. Like that is a fun day.
Isn't that pretty, the first floor?
I love it.
Yeah, Art Deco's fun too. So old Hollywood.
Yeah. Happy holidays from Big DT.
Oh, she looks so cute. So pretty.
I love the turquoise and pink for Christmas. It's such a fun play on red and green.
In loving memory of Henry
Mr.
or Harold
Stanley.
Stanley Marcus, Mr. Stanley.
He was a genius.
That's it, ladies.
Oh, good job.
You saw a world premiere here first.
Good job. Good job. I
Well,
feel
thank
like
you.
we
That
need
was
to
fun.
sing the first stanza of a impromptu first stanza of a Christmas song. You start it, Bill, and we'll finish
Well,
the
what
first
song
stanza.
do we want?
Any song you
do
know
it,
the
and
words
finish,
to.
We'll chime
Okay.
in.
There are
We'll be your
few
backup
Christmas
singers.
carols I do not
Do
know.
one or two stanzas of one of the most well-known. You start right halfway through the
I don't know
first-
the third verse of Away in the Manger, though.
Well, I only know probably a line or two, but I'll try.
We're going to interject
You
like
ready?
pretty
Yes,
soon.
yeah. Whatever you want.
White Christmas. We'll try to do white.
Okay.
I'm dreaming of a white. I think it started to like Christmas.
Just like
With
the ones I used to know.
I used to know.
With the sleigh tops glisten and children listen to hear sleigh bells in the snow.
I don't know what key we're in.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas, just like the ones I used to know.
Something about your days be merry and bright,
And may all your Christmases be white. So we're just going to wrap it up on episode, what is this, 4?
Episode 5.
Oh, okay. So wrapping up episode 5. We'll see y'all next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
In the meadow we can build a snowman. We'll pretend that he is Parson Brown. He'll say, "Are you ready?" We'll say, "No, man, but you can do the job when you're in town." Later on conspire as we dream by the fire to face unafraid the plans that we've made, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland, walking in a winter wonderland. Oh yeah. Merry Christmas.